Hello there, my name is Martin Henley. This is the Effective Marketing Content Extravaganza, and if you're new here, you won't yet know that I am on a mission to give you everything you need to be more successful in your business, providing, of course, what you need to be more successful in your business is to know more about and be implementing more efficiently, more enthusiastically, and more effectively sales and marketing in your business, which is, of course, what you need. You need more customers more profitably. So what goes on here is I'm here giving you everything I know about sales and marketing on a Monday. That's the What the series. On a Tuesday, I pull in anyone I can find with experience to share that will be useful if you're looking to be more successful in your business. On a Wednesday, every other Wednesday, Melanie Farmer comes through. We look at the marketing news and speculate wildly about what it might mean for you in your marketing life, in your marketing business. And I review so you don't have to on the other Wednesday. On a Thursday, occasionally I'm here thinking out loud, and on a Friday, we react to the very best and the very worst of marketing content on the internet, which is what's happening today. If you've come on the day this goes live, it will be a Friday. We will be reacting. So if that sounds like it might be interesting or useful, then now would be a great time to like, share, comment, subscribe, get involved, because that will give us the motivation to continue on this epic, epic journey. Now, I am saying we are reacting because I am joined today by the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Russ Johns. Good evening, Russ.
I welcome to be here and just humbled that we get to hang out, Martin. It's been a great time last time, so let's make it happen today.
Yeah, let's make it happen today. It's so cool just to hang out, I think. This is what this kind of section is. I've reined in 3 of you now. So I have 2 amazing beards in you and Andy Gwynn, and a less amazing beard in Jim Cunliffe in the UK. So yeah, people think that this is just a weak excuse to get more marketing content onto the site, which of course it is. But we are kind of marketing people, so we are going to react. So we are going to add a little bit. We very often like to start all of these episodes with a little boast. So is there something positive that's been happening in your life that you'd like to share with the world?
Well, yeah, I love the fact that we met on video. We met on LinkedIn Live, and I produce LinkedIn Live content all the time. You know, I produce other shows for other people. Podcasting, I've been doing that for over a decade. And my mission in life is to help more people. So if you need help with your podcast or live stream, hit me up. So
okay,
here to help and assist.
Fantastic. Well, I do. That's why I've wrangled you in. So it's cool. So do I have a boast? I don't really have a boast.
Yeah.
I don't think I really have a boast. No, we should probably move on. So as you know,
well, you got past your technical issues, and we got the show rolling.
We have overcome technical issues this morning for me, this afternoon for you, which were resolved by unplugging everything and plugging it in again. So there you go. There's a boast. We have overcome this morning.
It's fantastic. Tenacity.
Right, good. They're building a house next door. Are you hearing that?
Barely.
Okay, good.
Sounds like tap
value of having. But what I am going to do is shut that door because that might help us. Okay, I'll be back in 1 second.
Deal. And while he's away, we'll continue to enhance and entertain you with the marketing effort and some of the things that are going on, because Martin is awesome, and we always have great conversations when he's aboard. So it's always lovely to connect with Martin.
Brilliant. Well done. I mean, they have literally started work, so maybe we should just go quickly before they start cutting steel and stuff.
Perfect.
Okay, super cool. So the way this works is we don't actually know what we are going to be reacting to. There are a number of things we can react to on the playlist. What we do is we go immediately to random.org and we roll the dice while somebody has to hum the Jeopardy theme tune. So this is your opportunity to hum the Jeopardy theme tune while I roll the dice. So you are humming the theme tune.
Down, 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 down. What did we come up with, Martin?
Excellent. We have got a number 5. So what we do now is we go to Miley and we copy video number 5, and then we go to the World Wide Web, and we put this into the thing. And what we have is going to start playing immediately. Is the 10 smartest business decisions of all time. Okay, we are a little bit zoomed in over here, so let's no. let's. We're not entirely
You
over
got it.
the.
You got it. You
We're
got
not
this, Martin.
entirely over the technical issues here. Right, so let's zoom out a little bit.
Yep.
Okay, that looks good, doesn't it? That looks absolutely fine.
Perfect.
So this is from Millionaire Me. It's called The 10 Smartest Business Decisions of All Time. Oh, it's long. It's 15 minutes long. So it's long. Maybe we'll only get one today. It's only had 239 views, and the channel has only had 286 views. So this is the route less traveled that we are on today. How do you feel about that, Mr. Johns?
Okay. I feel fine about that. And sometimes these hidden gems are the ones that you want to comment on.
Yes. And 100% we want to know about the 10 smartest business decisions of all time, don't we?
I would think more people need to learn about the 10 smartest business decisions of all time. So.
Okay, excellent. So maybe Millionaire Me are actual millionaires, and maybe they can make millionaires of us if we comment on their story. Okay, cool. So let's see what's going on here with the 10 smartest business decisions of all time.
Every business is an adventure. Just as life, it's full of ups and downs. Every brand or company has history. Some of them may have failed, definitely, but others managed to keep themselves in the game. In fact, many companies are still around because genius minds behind the closed doors made great decisions with perfect timing. As the business is an adventure, it requires a great adventurer. And some entrepreneurs are just too good at it. If you're on your own journey and want to learn from some of the smartest business decisions of all time.
Okay, I think this is a little slow. I think it is a little slow, so we can speed it up a little bit, so that would be good. So it won't take us 15 minutes to watch it.
Yeah, let's make it a little quicker there, Martin.
Okay, cool. So what I'm thinking is, this is the narrative, isn't it? That entrepreneurs are the great adventurers, the good ones make great decisions, blah, 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 blah. Is it not just about, I think maybe that is true, but is it also not as much about...
on the same story?
What's that, sorry?
Do you think? Is it the same spin on the same story? I mean, is it just repurposed content, or do you think it's original?
I think this is repurposed content, probably. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I just passing comment on this is the narrative, isn't it? About running your own business, that you have to be lucky or... No, they're not saying lucky, are they? They're saying you have to make great decisions. Let's see what they're saying rather than speculate, shall we?
Absolutely.
Pay close attention to this list. Learn and get inspired by the great minds in the game. Number 10, Red Bull empty cans. Around the late 1980s and early 1990s, there were no social medias like Facebook or Instagram to advertise your products on the internet. TV commercials were expensive, and with a low budget, it was pretty hard to figure out how to promote a brand. The Red Bull brand was no exception. They were trying to solve the big puzzle when the genius marketing move idea struck them. What was their idea? Empty Red Bull cans. Red Bull just chose to think outside the box. They started to strategically place empty cans of their product in garbage cans outside of popular nightclubs. They would also leave them outside bars and clubs that were frequented by the demographic they wanted to reach. In this way, people seeing so many empty cans were tricked to think that the product was very popular and were curiously tempted to try some for themselves. Genius, right? While the strategy itself was controversial, it was worth the gamble. By 2018, Red Bull's revenue was $6.137 billion US. Number 9, the inventor of liquid soap buys every plastic pump.
Comment on these as we go.
I like that. I like that idea, Martin. So, did you realize that was their initial campaign for exposure in the market?
No, I mean, I've got some recollection that something like this went on, but no. Let's say no.
Okay. I didn't realize it was to that extent. I did realize that they did a lot of publicity stunts and remember the Red Bull vehicles that they used to drive around with the big can on the top, and They were handing out Red Bull all the time at events everywhere before they even
Yes.
started creating events. But I didn't realize that they left empty cans in there, which is, I think, that's a cue from when Dropbox started giving away space to people that would join them. It's almost like this herd mentality that goes out and try to get people to buy into the idea that it's more popular than it actually is.
Yes. Yeah, it does. And the thing is, I suppose, is that the base message always from me on this channel is that marketing works, do marketing. And even if a $6 billion brand started by distributing empty cans, if that's what they had to resort to, but now they are a $6 billion brand, then that just shows where everyone starts, doesn't it, I suppose? I mean, it is interesting. I've not heard of anything quite like it. Like, it's not particularly environmentally friendly, is it? But maybe it didn't have to be at the back end of the 90s. Maybe that wasn't the imperative at the time. Brands start somewhere. I suppose that's the mission. And where they started is with marketing. And where they are is one of the leading brands in the world. And they're worth $6 billion. Useful message.
Well, think of it this way. Think of how much money they saved from sharing empty cans versus end on product.
Yes.
If they gave away product, that would cost them a lot more for the promotional activities that they had in place, rather than the empty cans in the dumpsters and garbage cans next to all the clubs.
Yes. And it's nice because it's a little bit guerrilla, I suppose. So I've had clients who've wanted to get their clothing into retail stores. And what we've done is we've engaged people just to go to the stores and say, are you running these things? Are you offering these things? And then like 2-3 weeks later, somebody phones up and says, we'd like to send you our stuff, So these little guerrilla tactics do definitely work. And if it worked for Red Bull, then I'm sure it could work for our audience. So what did they do? They actually, multiplied the effect. They made it look like everyone was using these brands, and outside nightclubs, which 100% was their market, because people wanted to be dancing all night, I would imagine, high on caffeine. Okay, super cool. So a good lesson there from Red Bull. Number 9, the inventor of liquid soap buys every plastic pump in the country. Interesting.
In the country.
Interesting.
Today, liquid soap is in every house. But back in the 1970s, it was sold by only one person, Robert Taylor, and his small company, Milioon. Taylor himself invented the product, and he knew it would become a hit. His customers loved it, and Taylor decided to go big. He had only one problem. His invention couldn't be patented. Without protection, Taylor knew that huge companies would just steal from him, and he'd get crushed by the competition. His small company, Milioon, wouldn't stand a chance. But here comes the genius of Robert Taylor. One day, he decided to go out shopping. His buy list, however, was just one product: plastic pumps. By going all in with his capital of $12 million, he acquired every single plastic pump available in the country. At the time, there were only 2 companies that were manufacturing the plastic pumps, and everything they would produce in 2 years was already Taylor's property. In this way, Taylor completely eliminated the competition, and the huge rival companies couldn't do much but watch Taylor conquering the market. You may say, it's easy to make smart moves with $12 million, but think again. If you only had $12 million left, would you take such a risk to invest the money completely in something? Sometimes bold moves may lead to great results.
Okay, good. Interesting.
Interesting. Firstest with the bestest in the market, right?
Yes.
Like crush the market with your idea, or leverage the market and the contents of that market. So it's resistance to entry is too powerful.
Yes. Yes. So that's interesting. So I don't think it would occur to me if I had $12 million. Like, did he invent it, and then the plastic pumps existed, but they were being used for something else. So
and they couldn't be patented. They couldn't be leveraged by a single company. They couldn't be licensed or anything like that. So you had to think outside the box. There was no box.
There
just
was
plastic
no box.
pumps. Yeah.
Just plastic pumps. And it reminds me of something it took me forever to learn, which is that actually running a business, successfully launching and running a business, is an investment of time. I had loads of that. Energy, I had loads of that. And money. I didn't have any money. It was much harder than it needed to be. So actually,
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
2 out of 3 is torture, because it's so much less time and energy if you've got a bit of money to bring people with you, So I think you need those 3 things. And if he had 12 million to invest and he invested it in, you know, I'm sure that I don't know we don't even know what the brand was, but liquid soap we know is very popular these days. Okay, so we've definitely seen two very smart business decisions. I'm digging this video. I hope this channel does well.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to number 8.
Number 8, Oakley Sunglasses Free Marketing. In 2010, 33 men were trapped at 2,300 feet underground and 3 miles from the mine's entrance via spiraling underground ramps. The whole world was watching breathlessly as the 3 separate teams, the Chilean government, the U.S. Space Agency, and NASA were working hard to rescue the trapped men. Finally, after 69 days, on October 13th, the men reached the surface one at a time in a specially built capsule. As around 5.3 million people watched via video stream worldwide, the men emerging from the capsules all had Oakley sunglasses on as a protection from the sunlight. The great move here was to donate the sunglasses to the trapped men before they were rescued. CNBC reported that $41 million in equivalent advertising time between live coverage, the recaps, and a rough estimate of the audience watching around the world was secured by the brand. A smart marketing move indeed.
That is smart, but is that just not exploitation of a horrible, horrible, horrible situation?
You could say that. However, it's the same strategy from a different perspective than what Red Bull used by placing ad placement. And people have done this for years in, movies. They have, product placement in film. They have it in news. They have it a number of different places. However, one could argue that, because they were coming out from a very dark place into the bright sunlight, they needed some protection for their eyes. So it could be, seen from both directions. But the fact that the value is there doesn't circumvent the value of having sunglasses when you're coming out of a cave or a mine for, 33 days.
Yes. So that's what also occurred to me halfway through. I'm thinking this is horribly cynical, but then they are going to need the protection. And I suppose all of the sunglasses, but I mean, they wouldn't have struggled to put sunglasses on the people. I'm sure it would have occurred to somebody else that this was going to be necessary. So I suppose just a very smart marketing move by Oakley. These guys have been there. The whole world's watching. They're going to need sunglasses. Let's make sure they're our sunglasses.
And I remember the event, but I don't remember ever seeing an Oakley sunglasses, having that connection in place.
Yes. Subliminal. It just went in. Yep. You just consumed it.
I just absorbed it through my my radar.
Okay, number 7.
Number 7. George Lucas insists for Star Wars rights. After the success of American Graffiti, directed by George Lucas, he now wanted to bring to light his next project, Star Wars. He was looking for studios that would like the idea and would eventually produce the movie. At 20th Century Fox, not many executives were thinking positively about the project described as a Western set in space. But nonetheless, Lucas was offered $500,000 for it. At that time, this was huge money. However, Lucas truly believed in his project, and instead of accepting the money, he made an offer to the studio. He would take a reduced salary of $150,000 in exchange of the rights on all merchandising and on any sequels. The offer was accepted by the studio, and the rest is simply history. In 2021, George Lucas's net worth is $5.3 billion US. A smart man in Hollywood.
Yeah, so there's been a few cases of this, isn't there? I mean, that is absolutely 100% a smart business decision. I don't know how long he spent making the movies, the Star Wars movies, but also $150,000 was a huge amount of money in the 1970s. I mean, I was there. I wasn't spending money in the 1970s. So it's not as if it was a huge sacrifice, but this is how these people now are worth billions of dollars. Star Wars could have failed. It didn't. I mean, it feels to me like in the recent episodes, they're really trying their hardest to fail, and now they've sold it out to Disney. So really, it seems like they're trying their hardest to fail. But no, are you a fan?
Oh, yeah. I'm a Star Wars fan, but I'm not really a fan of the direction they're going now. So I'm kind of like, where are they going to take it? So it's, but the reality of licensing the product, this goes back to Oakley and Red Bull. It's like licensing a product is the same kind of, you amplify that leverage to the degree that you can. That's what made Howard Hughes so much money is he licensed, he created products that he licensed to the military, and he kept the rights to them. It's like licensing products or licensing anything. If you license something, then it's perpetual. You have the opportunity to earn money long after you've created it.
Yes. And that's something I don't pay enough attention to, I think, which is that there's more than one way to skin a cat, isn't there? There's more than one way to make money out of these things. So yeah, I'm always looking for customers. I've got these blinkers on. It's like I need customers. But there is more than one way to make money, and he made $5 billion. I was in the 70s. I wasn't very old, but I definitely had these action figures. And the thing is, I think, was this the first time this kind of merchandise was even available? Was there? I remember there were Muhammad Ali dolls and things in the 70s. But I don't remember them being associated with a film necessarily.
Look at some of the, Sylvester Stallone in Rocky series. All the licensing that went to that and the money that he's made as a result of that whole empire.
Yes.
And there's a number of examples like that where it's not stopped the availability of reading the returns after the product is created. It's ongoing. It's like every time it plays out. Musicians, or to a lesser degree, they every time they play a track on Spotify or they stream it out or sell an album or sell some merchandise, they get licensing fees back from that. Course creation is another example of that, where you create the course once and you can sell it over and over again. YouTube, the views and the watches and the people participating in this video today. This could be something that can grow revenue in the future for you.
Yeah, 100%. So I think the lesson then is think more creatively about how you are contributing to the world and what the return might look like. Good.
It's like compound interest.
It's like compound interest, exactly like compound interest.
Yeah.
Okay, super cool. Right, so where are we? Number 6, I think.
Number 6, Facebook acquires Instagram. If you've ever seen The Social Network, you know exactly how Facebook started. Not many people liked Mark Zuckerberg, but everyone will agree that the inventor of Facebook himself is some sort of a genius when it comes down to business. His first great move was to make Facebook completely free for users. As the now very well-known company has amassed 500 million users, Facebook had become one of the most valuable companies ever. In 2010, Instagram is launched. After 2 years of life, it only had 13 employees and didn't make a single dollar in revenue. Still, Zuckerberg and his team decided to acquire Instagram for $1 billion. Some venture capital firms and other investors were already showing their interest, but Zuckerberg's quick action was decisive. Today, Instagram generates even more advertising revenue than its parent company. As if that wasn't enough, in 2014, Facebook also bought WhatsApp for $19 billion. And today, Facebook owns the 4 most downloaded apps of the past decade. Smart investments will always pay back.
Okay, so wait, I need to turn my volume up. Okay, so I'm not a Zuckerberg fan, and I do think they are busy going out of business. It looks like they're busy going out of business. And I think that's
I'm not
okay.
a fan.
I'm not a fan either. I don't know. Apparently they've got still 2 billion active daily users, monthly users, or whatever. But that's 1 in 4 people on the planet. Certainly 1 in 4 people I know don't use Facebook at all anymore. I don't use Facebook anymore. But I suppose what's the lesson? If you do have a spare $1 billion, you could buy the next competitor. If you've got a spare $19 billion, you could buy the next competitor. I'm not sure that there's a lesson here for our market.
Well, we are the product.
Yes,
we are the product. The eyeballs and attention is the thing that we're contributing to, and the reality is that I think the pendulum is swinging from everybody being the interested party and being connected and showing up and sharing their life and everything else, and now it's I think going back to relationships and communities and making sure that things like this take place. You and I, we connected. We had a conversation, we built a relationship, and now we can work together to collaborate on new fun projects and give some feedback on Zuckerberg, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I really hope it's going this way. And it feels to me like it is going this way. It feels to me like these monolithic platforms have had their day. And I mean, I talk about it a lot when we talk about the news and we talk about what's going on with these things. Like they had the nectar. They had billions of us talking about the thing that billions of us are interested in, which is us. And, you know, it was fantastic. And then they decided that they were cleverer than us and they knew better than us what we were interested in. And they brought in their algorithms. And now it's taken a while, but the whole thing seems to have gone to down the toilet. Yeah, I don't think there's a lesson for our watchers. I don't think they're sitting on billions of dollars to buy out the next. And the other thing is, I don't think, like, famously, Instagram didn't get better when Facebook bought it. It might have made more money. WhatsApp didn't get better, you know, so they haven't improved.
Well, it got better for Facebook. It didn't get better for the users.
100%, yeah. And the other thing is, that these are just two of dozens of things that they spent billions of dollars on. Do you know what I mean? So that these two went well is nice, but it's not the rule. Do you know what I mean? It's not like spend $1 billion on something and it will be amazing, because I'm sure they've spent lots of money on other things that haven't. Okay, let's get beyond Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg and see what number 5 is.
Number 5, Herbert Dow ends German chemical cartel dominance. Herbert Dow was an American chemical industrialist who founded Dow Chemicals. Great mind, even from his early ages, in 1889, Dow received his first patent after inventing a cost-effective and streamlined process for bromine extraction. This was much cheaper and easier method than previous ones. Dow started to sell the chemical for industrial purposes all over the US for just 36 cents per pound. However, he couldn't expand his business overseas as the international market was dominated and controlled by a giant German chemical cartel that at the time was selling bromine at 49 cents per pound. The deal was that the Germans would stay out of the US so long as Dow stayed out of Europe and other markets outside the US. However, Dow's company needed to expand to avoid financial troubles. In 1904, Herbert Dow begins to export his bromine at 36 cents to England. The lower price easily attracted the customers, and he was winning the competition. This, as you can imagine, didn't go well with the Germans. An angry German visitor met Dow in Michigan and demanded him to cease any activity in England. As Dow didn't like to be told what to do, he ignored the visitor's demands. At this point, it was war between Herbert Dow and the Germans. Germans make their move. Soon after the meeting, their bromine appears in the US at just 15 cents per pound. This was 21 cents less than Dow's price. Germans offered their bromine to everyone, aiming to drive Dow out of business. And here comes the smart move from Dow. He stopped selling his own bromine in the US. Instead, he secretly started to buy as much bromine as he could from Germans. He then changed the packaging, making it his own product and exporting it to Europe. He then aggressively launched the product at 27 cents per pound. For Germans, the demand in Europe was in decline, but was increasing in the US as Dow was acquiring their bromine. When Germans finally realized what Dow did, they were already halfway out of business. Eventually, Dow completely won the competition on enemy territory, greatly outsmarting the Germans. Sometimes one man's wit is enough to collapse giant companies.
Absolutely love that. Absolutely love that.
That is freaking brilliant. That is brilliant. I love it. You know, on the other side of the equation, Rockefeller was the one that instituted insurance with the pharma and actually instituted patents on drugs. So what he did, and I, you know, I didn't like this at all when I heard about it, but the Rockefellers went through and instituted anything that had to be insured for medical reasons had to have a patent, and had to be sold through medical approval. So then he went off and got approval, and so all of his patents and his chemicals and everything that went into big pharma had to be approved through the insurance company, which he also owned. And so that brought the holistic medicine to a grounding halt.
Yes.
Same kind of thing.
Yeah, well, exactly the opposite thing.
Mm-hmm.
What do I think? I think it's us versus the corporations. Like, there's a very, like, I really think this. And this is kind of why I'm here, is to empower small businesses, because this is where all of the benefit for populations come from. You know, it's small businesses who employ the populations. Small businesses pay their tax. Small businesses come up with all of the innovation. Small businesses come up with all of the, what was the other thing that they do? They take all of the responsibility, you know, small businesses. And then it seems to me that it's corporations that hoover that opportunity up, like, for example, Facebook buying Instagram. So this is a really nice story where actually you can take on the giants. I suspect that this company then became the giant, which is now sitting on a monopoly, which is probably not good for small businesses.
Dow Chemical. Yeah.
Yeah. But genius, absolute genius. You want to sell it for 21 cents? 100% I will buy it. Or 15 cents, 100% I will buy it.
But it's kind of like Robert with the soap dispensers. I'm just going to
Yes.
buy everything and corner the market. So,
But there's some genius. Like, I'm going to buy this for 21. I'm going to buy this for 15 cents. Put it on a boat and sell it to your market for 21 cents. That's absolute genius. Okay, good. I'm thoroughly enjoying this video now. I hope this channel does well.
I'm really appreciating this video. Good choice.
Yeah.
Number 4. Puma asks Pelé to tie his shoes at the 1970 Football World Cup final. This was when Puma and Adidas were tirelessly competing with each other to win the sneaker war. The competition was so intense that both companies made a pact to not advertise their shoes by the football legend Pelé. But according to the LA Times, a representative for Puma approached Pelé before the final. On June 21st, as the match was about to start, Pelé asked the referee for a moment. He lowered himself and tied his Puma shoes. At this moment, all they needed was a good camera close-up. Millions around the world watched as Pelé tied his shoes. Puma paid Pelé $120,000 for this simple action, but you can easily imagine the sales after that day. Also, Brazil won the match against Italy 4-1, and the first goal was scored by Pelé.
Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. What's the thing about it? $120,000 was a lot of money in 1970 for tying a shoelace. But a huge market. Like in those days, there was no diversification of media. Everyone was getting exactly the same thing. So I don't know how many people were watching the World Cup final in 1970, but it would have been a lot. Yeah.
Product placement,
100%. The shoe that scored the first goal, that won the World Cup, was a Puma shoe. What more do you want in the way of brand?
Yeah.
Like, if you want to demonstrate your value, there it is right there. The greatest footballer, arguably of all time, wears Puma shoes. Good. There's a lesson there in evidencing the value that you deliver to the world for our watchers.
Yeah.
Okay, shall we move on to number 4?
Let's do it.
Number 3. Netflix abandons DVD shipping business and focuses on streaming. Netflix and chill? For sure. In 1998, Netflix was a simple online DVD rental company. Next year, they introduced the monthly subscription concept, but as the internet was still not as popular as it is today, in 2000, the company saw $50 million in losses. Netflix then decided to make an offer to their major competitor, Blockbuster, to be acquired for $50 million, as this way they could handle the subscription part, and Blockbuster would take care of the DVD rentals. However, the offer was declined. Netflix continued on their way, and soon they adopted a new model. Instead of storing DVDs physically, they put the entertainment on servers. This way, they cut all the uncomfortable parts of renting a DVD, such as going physically to the store or the waiting time for the delivery at home. Movies were now accessible by viewers instantly and from home for a low price. Netflix completely drove Blockbuster out of business, and in 2020, the company's annual revenue reached $25 billion. Predicting the future or being able to adapt to changes is essential for every business.
Yeah, disrupting. I mean, renting DVDs was a horrible experience. I had no idea Netflix started in 1998. So they've been around now for 25 years. They're now worth $25 billion. Those Blockbuster stores are all gone. I don't know when they finally completely run out. Are there still video stores, DVD stores, rentals?
No. There is a service called Redbox that was around. I haven't seen one for a long time, but it was basically a vending machine that you could rent videos in at, CVS pharmacies or, Walgreens or whatever establishment you could visit. But I haven't even seen those around lately. And the cost of maintaining those versus streaming the video, you have, YouTube, you have Prime, you have Netflix, you have Hulu, you have all of these other things that are really available to anyone that wants to stream. And streaming has gotten so powerful now that it really doesn't make sense to create a physical product.
Yeah. So the thing I'm thinking now is that those, like, obviously Blockbuster were another huge corporation, but lots of those video rental places were like little independent type places. Like Quentin Tarantino famously worked in one of these stores. Yeah. So I do wonder if we've lost something. And also what I wonder about is this what we want when we start our small business? Do we want to be a $25 billion empire is it necessary? Do you know what I mean? I mean, I don't expect us to answer this question now, but there is something has definitely been lost in that experience. You know, you would go to your local DVD hire company store, and the guy would have recommendations. Everyone's enjoying this, so no one's enjoying that. Like when it was video, you had to rewind the video. I don't know. I think something's been lost in, like, it was inconvenient. Like, I never got the DVDs back in time. I was always paying fines. I was never rewinding the video cassettes. You know, it was horrible, but there was something valuable maybe in it as well.
Well, and that's exactly how Netflix started, because the founder was upset because he had to pay late fees.
Right.
And so he said there has to be another way of doing this.
Yes.
And that's how Netflix was born. So that journey from, I'm upset by this, I'm going to do something about it, starting a small business, and then allowing that new idea to grow and expand to become a new idea, unfortunately, created a lot of disruption in the market, and a lot of small business owners, like you're saying, the independent video stores, ended up going out of business because they just didn't have the wherewithal and the access to individuals that wanted to come in and rent VHS and DVDs. Yes.
But then I suppose on the other thing, what's happened now is there must be dozens, hundreds of YouTube channels where they're reviewing the latest releases or the oldest releases or whatever. So I suppose maybe it has come all the way around. And maybe it's just an exercise in evolution, you know? Maybe it's just like those, like Quentin Tarantino now Quentin Tarantino in 2023 might be running his own YouTube movie review channel, you know?
Well, think of it this way. Those individuals that were willing to start a business in a video store market are probably the same individuals that went across the street and built a landscaping company or a restaurant or a construction company. Those are the individuals that are going to continue to be entrepreneurs. And I don't think that you can stop that spirit of going out and creating something.
No.
I think it's evolving. I don't think it's going away.
No. And I'm interested because the number of small businesses in the UK, for example, has trebled. Like there were around 2 million around the turn of the century, and now there's something like 6 million. So people are finding a way. So maybe it's fine. I don't know. Maybe it's absolutely fine.
I think it ebbs and flows. I think it, evolves over time depending on, the market and how it evolves. Ultimately, it still goes back to what you said originally, Martin. The biggest market and the biggest environment are the small business owners that are out there creating jobs. They're creating revenue. They're creating an economy, and they're really growing and expanding all the time. So yes. I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon.
No, I don't think so either. Good. Excellent. So I think we're down to number 2. Are we down to number 2? Let's have a little look.
Number 2, Apple brings back Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs co-founded Apple together with his close friend Steve Wozniak. However, then 21 years old Jobs was doubted as the company's CEO, and the investor opted to bring in an experienced person. After a few years and some changes in the company, they were looking for a new CEO again. Steve Jobs himself decided to recruit then PepsiCo CEO John Sculley with a pitch that has become legendary. Do you want to sell sugared water for the rest of your life? Or do you want to come with me and change the world? However, it turns out this was not the best idea. Steve Jobs himself wasn't famous for being an easy man to work with. After losing a boardroom with John Sculley, Jobs left Apple feeling forced out of the company he started. The legendary entrepreneur then went to start another company called Next. Unfortunately, or not, Next never became as successful as Jobs hoped. Through the decade, Apple wasn't having a good time too. Their sales were not profitable, and the overall performance was ineffective. As a result, CEOs were changing their seats frequently. Eventually, Jobs, already well experienced, offered to help Apple. Perhaps for Apple, the acceptance of that offer was the smartest move to this day. They acquired Next, and Jobs became the new CEO. From there, things started to work greatly as Apple became the most valuable company in the world. Are you watching this video from an Apple device?
Yes, I am. And I tell you what.
Yes, I am.
I think the world misses that level of innovation. I'm not a Bill Gates fan, but these guys came right out of the trap as teenagers, Like as a 21-year-old, he lost the job, the position of CEO. Oh, are we? I don't think we're seeing innovation like that anymore. You know, I mean, maybe this was the golden age, but we're not. Like here we are. Where are we? 40 years later, the option is still PC or Apple, or unless you're insane, Linux, maybe Linux. Yeah. And those are the three computing options still 40 or 50 years later. How did we lose that innovation? That I think is a really serious question, because surely, I mean, there was, like, the internet came along and social media came along and smartphones came along and all of these things. But how can there not have been a new entrant in the PC, desktop, laptop market beyond Microsoft or Mac? That frazzles my mind.
Yeah, that is insane to think about. And there are still servers out there running on, software and OS that has been around for at least that long.
Mainframes and stuff.
Yeah, mainframes. And I'm thinking, I guess if it's not broken, let's not fix it. However, you would imagine that there's some innovation that has to take place beyond that.
Yeah, the thing is it feels to me like the rise of technology, we could have a whole other conversation about this another time, it's not broken, let's fix it. You know, it does seem to me like we're getting technology for technology's sake. You know, I used to sell IT solutions to like big businesses and stuff, and it was like, I'd often sit there and think, if these businesses had sat down and thought in the 1960s, in the future, IT is going to be 68% of our budget. Do we really want to do this? You know, so I don't know. I do feel like something's been lost. But I think this innovation has been lost. Like, there should have been, in the way of personal computers or even corporate computers, there should have been more innovation since Apple and Microsoft just completely owned the market. There should have been another
since
innovation.
95.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is now 28 years. And there's been no one. I mean, there were a few brands, weren't there? It's the OS, isn't it? That's what's required.
Yeah.
Is you need the OS. I thought about buying a PC again about a year ago, and I had a 30-second conversation with the guy who was selling it. And I'm like, surely I still don't have to buy antivirus. I last used one in 2008. And they're like, oh, no, you do. It's like, well, surely I'm not going to see the blue screen of death again. Oh, no, yeah, you definitely will. And it's like, okay, well, that last operating system I ran on was junk. How many have there been since then? Oh, there's been 3, and one of them wasn't a viable product. It's like, okay, well, surely I'm not going to have to give Bill Gates money for, like, basic software like Office. Yeah. He's like, no, you definitely will. It's like, I can't do that. So, yeah, it seems to me like we've definitely lost some innovation. And, I mean, Steve Jobs was just genius. And the way they launched it was at the a Microsoft conference or something? It's like Jobs is back. They dropped the screen. All of that. Think different.
It was brilliant. I thought I just really appreciated all the things that Steve Jobs did. Yes. And having your experience in IT sales, you have to realize that the larger the organization, the slower they make decisions, and the slower they make changes that are going to, move the needle across, wide swaths of change. And it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. No. That's why innovation is stifled, is because all of the innovating things are, in streaming in the gaming industry. And that's where it stays, because there's no adoption in the corporations. So,
yeah. And I work now occasionally with corporations. Not occasionally, it's what I do for work. And like we were addressing legacy around 2000. They'd been building these things since the 1970s. And we were addressing that. And now they're still addressing legacy. But like a bank that was founded in 2005, went live 2010, is already in their third iteration of their platform, because the legacies just become legacies in 20 minutes now. It's like they just become old really quickly. So I think that's what's going on. But I think we miss this level of innovation. 21, and he was CEO of. Where is that? Like, where are the 21-year-olds now that are actually producing something? Where are the 21-year-olds now talking to the CEO of Pepsi and saying, look, you're wasting your time there selling sugar water. You know,
Yeah.
where's that? That's nowhere to be seen, I don't think. Okay, good. I'm excited to see what's number one. Are you excited to see what's number one?
I'm excited. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool. I don't know if these are ranked. I don't know if this is going to be the smartest business decision ever. I think for me, the smartest one was the putting the Germans out of business.
Yeah.
Number 1. Henry Ford doubles his workers' wages. Henry Ford might be the single most successful businessman in history. However, the problems are also for those who are brilliant. One of the smartest decisions of Ford was that he wanted to sell his cars at a price that most people could afford, but such decisions present many challenges to deal with. One of these challenges was his workers. At the time, workers were paid $2.25 per day, and the work time was 9 hours. For most, this was unbearable. Ford faced massive turnovers that was destroying his business. In 1913, out of 52,000 hired men, only 14,000 kept working in those conditions. The situation had become so critical that at some point, the car production halted. It was time to make a game-changing decision. And as we said before, Ford was one of the best. He did something that was unheard of at the time. He raised the salary of a worker to $5 and cut their day down an hour. Adjusted to inflation, that would come out to $132 a day in 2021 dollars. This move hugely boosted the workers' morale. For such a salary, they were now more than happy to do the same job they were doing before. The result was skyrocketing productivity and production. Also, Ford created a new middle class that could actually afford the company's vehicles. A great lesson to learn from every entrepreneur. That's all for our list.
Good. Okay, good.
Why is that a good move for entrepreneurs?
Well, because when I was young and stupid, I thought the reason that people had jobs is so that they could afford to buy things. And then what we've seen in the last 10, 20, 30 years is they've shipped all the jobs overseas, or they've automated them, or they've roboticed them, whatever that word is.
Repurposed them somehow.
Yeah, and now people don't have money to buy stuff, or an increasingly small part of the population has money to buy stuff. So I thought that was economics. Like, we have jobs, so we can buy stuff. So this is absolute genius.
Well, he built it so his employees could afford his cars
and created a market for himself. Genius.
Yeah. Genius.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it seems to me now that businesses, corporations, are so short-sighted that they don't, or maybe they can't sell to their staff, maybe, or I don't know. But it just seems to me like, I don't know if this is true, but I think it's something like true, that there hasn't been an actual inflation-adjusted increase in wages since something like 1980. You know,
Yeah.
And so people who are earning wages aren't actually earning any more in real terms than they were in 1980. And that just seems to me to be completely obscene. Why? Oh my God, this is like a whole rabbit hole. It's like, is there no end to the greed of the billionaires? Do you know what I mean? Is there not can they not let us have something, you know? That's kind of the way I feel, because then surely it's better for everyone. Like, if there's more for everyone, there's more for them, you know? I don't really get it, but it does seem to me that we've lost that idea of investment, like investment in people. Give the people money to spend on things.
Well, it's reinvestment in your own company, because you have a workforce and you have employees that are excited to be there. They're excited to participate. They're excited to help you grow your mission. And, you know, the old saying goes, if you're not building your own dream, you're building, you know, you're going to be assigned to somebody else's dream, right? And if you have ownership in an organization that allows you to be able to go out and at least achieve, you know, a viable lifestyle and care for your family and do everything that you need to do in order to support your family. I mean, it's really a struggle. You know, these organizations that limit your hourly wage or hours worked in order to not provide benefits, it's just ridiculous in a lot of ways. And it's just seems counterproductive in so many ways.
It seems counterproductive. Like, I've got an issue, I've covered it before, with McDonald's and their automations and their kiosks and now they have a completely automated store. Is like, it just seems to me to be incredibly short-sighted and stupid. Like, if you're not putting money into the economy, there isn't going to be money in the economy for people to buy stuff. Do you know what I mean? It just, and I don't know, maybe maybe I'm not an economist and I don't understand it fully, but like, that's the situation.
It is a math equation. Yeah.
It is a math equation, yeah. So I wonder how many, I don't know. Anyway, there's a lesson there, isn't there? Be more generous. Do you know what I mean? And like, as a business, you can add value in the world in a number of different ways, like through the products and services you provide to your customers, but also through the lifestyles that you afford your staff. And I don't know, this is a lot of the reason why it's me versus the corporations, is because I just don't understand where the end to this greed is. It's like, why do you need these extra billions of dollars? You know, McDonald's is a prime example. Probably their profits are insane. And they would rather save whatever $3 an hour to have a kiosk than have somebody actually engage with people as they walk through. And the insanity of this is it cuts off their very value proposition. You know, the silly question with McDonald's, would you like fries with that? Like, now it's a kiosk doing it. The kiosk isn't asking if they want fries. You know what I mean? People are just going in and ordering exactly. So they're missing out on all that extra revenue. It seems to me like the nerds have overtaken. The geeks have inherited the earth, and it's not a better place for it. That's the issue. Okay, good.
Well, it's reducing humanity. You know, grocery stores are razor thin margins, granted.
Yes.
However, I remember, I was thinking about this at the grocery store the other day. I remember when there used to be people bagging groceries that would actually help you take your groceries to the car. And they would actually help you carry groceries out. And now they're expecting us to bag them, check them, and carry them out and make sure that we're not, you know, taking anything that didn't get scanned okay.
Yeah.
It's like, really? You're not paying me to bag my groceries.
No.
Although,
and you haven't been trained. You haven't been trained.
I'm not a trained cashier. So
yeah.
It's like,
and it's the same with banks. It's like, now I do all my banking online. I have to do my own transactions and stuff. Well, the bank used to have some liability.
Have they reduced your transaction fees?
Yeah. No.
No.
but it used to be that the bank would have some liability. Like, if the transaction went wrong, it's because they trained someone to engage in the transaction and they should go right. But they don't anymore. Oh, this is a whole can of worms. God bless Henry Ford. That's what I'm saying, for having the foresight. The thing is, the question is then, why are the margins going through the floor for grocery stores? Because the customers don't have any money.
Yes.
So pay people enough money. The margins don't have to be stupid. You know what I mean? It doesn't. Like, the whole thing used to work much better, where there was a much better distribution of everything up until 1980, if that's when it happened. Where, like, look what happened in the 50s and 60s in America. There was a boom. Why was there a boom? Because people were being paid a decent amount of money for the work that they were doing, and all they do is spend the money on the products and services. You know, it just seems to me so short-sighted and stupid. Good. What we do now is we check the comments, see what other people are thinking of this. There is only one comment, which is Atul Manoj, who gave this a little clap.
Fantastic.
So I'm going to comment as well, and I'm going to say also, oh no, I'm not getting a little clap. I'm going to say, have I got a little clap? I haven't got one. Okay, I'm just going to say great video. Great video. Thanks. Okay, good. So hopefully they will do better and they will go on to produce more content. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we finish off?
No, I just really, I like these thought-provoking exercises, because unless we're talking about it, unless we're bringing it to the table, you know, it's just going to get buried in the noise. And there's so many things that we need to, you know, I think bring to the conversation.
100%.
And I think the other thing, what you're doing here is terrific, Martin, and I just really appreciate it. And I'm humbled that I would be invited in to the conversation. Thank you.
You are very welcome. I am humbled that you are here. The thing is, the reason that this is all happening is because what? Is because I started having these conversations, and it feels like I'm standing in front of a tsunami of content, and I'm absorbing it, and I'm like, how do I make this useful? Do you know what I mean? I think the trick is, like I say to people, everything they'll need to know about sales and marketing is here. All you need to know is that it's much easier than you think it is. It's much more attainable than you think it is. And it's much more fun than you think it is. And if you do it, you have the very best chance of being successful in your business. So all I'm looking to do with any of this content is to fire people's synapses, maybe fire their imaginations, because maybe there's something in these 10 decisions which will be relevant to somebody in their business today that will make a meaningful difference to the way they're going about their business. Maybe it's you and I just saying, do some freaking marketing. Maybe that's the thing. But I thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you so much for being here, man.
You bet. Anytime. Welcome to join you.
Excellent. Bless you. So all we have to do is remind people, if you haven't yet subscribed, commented, liked, shared, done any of those good things, now is the second best time to do that. And we'll thank you for being here this time. And we'll be here probably the next time you come through. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time to check out this episode of Reaction Time. If you found this interesting and useful, then YouTube thinks you are also going to enjoy this, and this is the latest thing that we've produced. If you haven't yet, and you could take a second to like, share, subscribe, and comment, then that would do us a whole load of good, and it will give us the motivation to continue on this epic journey.